Hi, this is Candace Cascadin, and this is my research proposal about new registered nurse graduates. I'm going to start off with a little background, first being the background of the problem, which to date has three themes: organizational culture, retention problems, and nurse residency programs. Organization drastically affects leadership, change within the organization, and retention of valuable workers. Quite often, new graduate nurses experience a reality shock when transitioning roles from nursing student to working nurse graduates. Only about 25% of nurse leaders say that they are fully satisfied with new registered nurse graduates, and because of these and other factors, the attrition rate of new RNs in the U.S. is up to 60% within the first year. This turnover can cost facilities an average of $64,000 for each new nurse lost. To make matters worse, the current nursing shortage is predicted to increase by another 30% by 2030, which means that the U.S. will be short 900,000 RNs in just over a decade. To help these new RNs transition from student to working nurse, many facilities have started to use nurse residency programs. New RN graduates are assigned an experienced preceptor from their hired unit and will have additional support and training with the hopes of retention after the one-year residency program. To date, most researchers have studied new RN graduate retention in the context of the nurse residency programs, but have not considered the effects of mentoring the assigned preceptor of the new RN graduate. Specifically, there is a gap in the current literature to identify a relationship between the retention and job satisfaction of an RN graduate in the nurse residency program with mentored preceptors. This gave me the information that I needed for my research questions. For our assignment, I have developed the following three questions. The first being descriptive. What is the 6-month retention rate of new RN graduates who have completed the nurse residency program with preceptor mentorship? The next being correlational. Is there significant positive correlation between the RN residency program with mentored preceptors for 6-month retention and job satisfaction ratings at 6 months after hire? And finally, comparative. What are the 6-month retention rates of newly hired RNs who have completed the nurse residency program with preceptor mentorship compared to the 6-month retention rates of newly hired RNs who did not have preceptor mentorship? These questions are also based in the mentoring theoretical foundations as explained in my theoretical rationale. Although mentoring has been around for a long time, it has only been in the past 2 decades that organizations have taken note of the benefits of mentoring in the workplace. The mentoring theory proposes that mentors function as guides, counselors, and sponsors for their mentees. This relationship can be hierarchical or a team effort and can be face-to-face or solely online. As such, mentoring functions are divided into 3 main categories: career, psychosocial, and role modeling. The relationship in mentoring will change over time according to the needs or actions of involved parties, and mentoring can be a positive or negative, and interactions lie on a continuum of satisfaction and dissatisfaction. On one end, the relationship can be positive and rewarding for all parties, but then on the other, the mentoring can be dysfunctional and not benefit anyone. This dynamic is important to my study given the high turnover of the new RN graduates and the current and future nursing shortages. Therefore, my chosen independent variable for my proposal is mentoring. The conceptual definition of mentoring is a formal or informal relationship in which a professional motivates the learner. The relationship may last from months to years. Similarly, the operational definition is an informal relationship between the nurse residency program mentored preceptor and a nurse faculty in which the nurse faculty provides guidance, motivation, and education. So then, what may be affected by mentoring? We'll take a look at the dependent variables. Nurse residency program mentored preceptor, RN graduate satisfaction ratings, and RN graduate 6-month retention rates. The first is the nurse residency program mentored preceptor. It has a conceptual definition as an experienced and knowledgeable individual who provides guidance to another less experienced individual. Like this, the operational definition is an experienced and knowledgeable RN on a nursing unit that provides guidance to a new RN graduate with less experience. The next dependent variable is the RN graduate job satisfaction ratings. First, the conceptual definition, which is the cognitive, affective, and behavioral degrees to which a new RN graduate employee is satisfied with his or her job. And then the operational definition, which is the calculated findings from reported job satisfaction ratings of new RN graduates in the nurse residency program at 6 months post-hire. The final dependent variable is the RN graduate 6-month retention rates, which is conceptually defined as the fact of keeping a job or keeping the same number of jobs in a facility 6 months after hiring. And the operational definition, which is the number of new RN graduates in the nurse residency program who have kept employment on the same unit 6 months after hire. Next up is the methodology. First, we'll take a look at participants. The research will take place in a large rural teaching hospital during one of the 3 yearly nurse residency programs. For the sampling plan, I will use a convenient sample of new RN graduates and their preceptors, which is about 50 new RN grads and 50 assigned preceptors. Because it is vital to protect the participants, participation will be strictly voluntary. IRB approval will be obtained from both NOVA and the hospital, but only minimal risks are anticipated for the participants. The plan is to use one main questionnaire on the participants with the potential of one more if a new RN graduate decides to quit the nurse residency program. On to the instruments. The first is the Job Satisfaction Survey. It is a 36-item self-administered questionnaire that assesses an individual employee's attitude about the job and aspects of the job. The other is the Exit Interview Survey, which is a specific exit interview questionnaire that is in development currently from the hospital. Again, the Exit Interview Survey will only be for those new RN graduates that have decided to leave the program. On a side note, those in the program are not permitted to simply leave the nurse residency program if they are unhappy. They can transfer to another unit, but if they do not want to participate in the program, they must leave the facility altogether. So, how will this study take place? On to procedures. The Job Satisfaction Survey will be sent to all new RN graduates in the nurse residency program by facility email. The participants will be informed of the study, the risks, and the opt-out information first, and if they consent, then they will be directed to the online survey. As such, the study will be a descriptive, correlational, quantitative, cross-sectional research study. Data will be gathered and analyzed to see if there will be a positive correlation between job satisfaction and 6-month retention rates of new RN graduates and the implementation of mentor preceptors. However, there will be some limitations, the first being threats to internal validity. From potential response bias of the participants, it will be impossible to know if they have preconceived ideas that would influence their answers to the survey questions. And then, on the other hand, there may be threats to external validity in a study that will be conducted at one large rural hospital and conducted on one cohort of the nurse residency program. But hopefully these factors can be controlled and great data will emerge to help lay the final touch to this exciting research study. That's all I have. Thank you for listening.